Hey everyone, what's up? This is Uri for Guerrilla Poker. Unfortunately, my camera is not working, so you guys will have to do with the no cam video. We'll see if our dear editor manages to fill in with some interesting background information. But yeah, interesting 100, 200 hand. I think one that's going to be well played, but has a few interesting nuances that a lot of guys might not know. So I think it's worth going into. So this is 100, 200 played between LLinusLLove and Ignacio, aka Nacho, two very well-known high-stakes players. Linus, of course, very strong contender for the current and past and maybe future greatest online poker player. Although he doesn't play as much as he used to. But yeah, Linus raises the cutoff for 2.2x size. Ignacio calls from the big blind, and we have a 5-5-4 two-tone board. And the special thing about this board is that, we always ask who's the board good for, and the answer here is a bit deceptive because on the one hand, Linus has aces, kings, queens, jacks, tens way more than Ignacio does. And these are very strong hands on this board. But on the other hand, Ignacio has fives. He has trips way more than Linus does. Now, he doesn't have tons and tons of trips, but he's going to have, his 9-5 suited, 8-5 suited, Jack-5, Ace-5 offsuit, all these hands more than Linus is going to have them. So Ignacio has a top-range advantage, Linus has a mid-range advantage, even Ace-King is a fairly strong hand here. And so it's one of these boards where if the players were very short, so say 20 deep or 40 deep, Linus's overpairs would just go for stacks and Linus would bet a ton. But as you get deeper, Linus has to respect the fact that Ignacio has the top of the range, and so he starts playing a more defensive strategy, and even though he wants to bet with his overpair, he's going to mix them into check-back lines and not be bananas aggressive. Kind of important nuance about this board. Flop goes check-check, turn jack of diamonds, and Ignacio goes ahead and leads out for a 3x pot bet, which Linus calls. So what's going on here is exactly what I described on the flop. Ignacio's betting range is going to revolve a lot around him having trips, and trips want to put stacks in. So Ignacio's just betting the size to put in stacks with his trips, and that's going to put Linus in a tough spot with any hand he has. Imagine Linus checked back aces, 3x pot on the turn. Sure, you're not folding aces, but you're not happy about it. Like, you're not money printing with your aces at this point by any stretch of the imagination. You're actually only beating bluffs. Now, Ignacio could also go for a smaller size that would be good for hands like a sixes or a four or a jack, etc. And generally speaking, solvers would often split into two sizings here. But I think the 3x pot makes a ton of sense, and it's, once you understand what the range is centered around, so this is going to be a bunch of draws and a bunch of trips, basically. Gets easier to play against, and the reason that I said aces is calling is because aces has all the draws, not drawing to pairs, so aces is like your best non-nutty call, so to speak. Okay, so 3 of clubs on the river. What does the 3 of clubs change? So 6-7 got there. Ace deuce got there. So trips are a bit devalued, but really, who has more 6-7 and ace deuce? Probably Ignacio. And how often does Linus have specifically those hands and check back the flop and call the 3x turn? Not super often, so I'd say this is a good card for Ignacio. But yeah, he sizes down still. He goes for a 75%-ish pot bet, which I'm surprised by. I would have expected trips to still just go ahead and shove. But yeah, this is what he goes for, and Linus goes into the tank and goes all in. So, again, before we look at the result, think about what Linus is saying. He's saying, oh, you're betting trips. I have a hand that beats your trips. So, what would that hand be? A straight, so 6-7 suited, or ace deuce of hearts, ace deuce of diamonds would be hands that Linus could get here with. Straights, pocket jacks. Maybe if Linus has ace 5 and he checked it back, which would be a rare occurrence. That hand should generally bet. If he has pocket fours, 4-5 suited, ace-5 suited, those hands, beat most of the trips, so good enough. I'd expect those to be able to shove. Now, Ignacio goes into the tank and finds the call. He shows ace-5, which he kind of has to call, even has the ace of hearts blocking ace-deuce of hearts, and also maybe Linus is shoving the same hand, but really he's not happy about it. And this is one of the spots where being Linus gets you paid off, because maybe against some guys you would say, oh, these guys are never finding any bluffs, and if they're not finding bluffs, then ace-5 should just fold. But you can't really say that about Linus. Linus has shown time and time again that if there's a spot where it's tough to find the bluff, he'll find the bluff. So many creative bluffs we've seen him make throughout watching his hands over the years. So you can't really use that line of reasoning of, oh, Linus would never bluff anything. I'm sure if Linus has, I don't know, ace-3 of hearts, ace-3 of diamonds, maybe something like ace-6 of diamonds, or pocket sevens, whatever, he'll find something to bluff with. Maybe he'll even bluff shove with a jack. But yeah, he has ace-5, Linus has jacks, so, nice to be him. That's where your image gets you paid off. Let's quickly look at the sim just to discuss what I was saying about how Ignacio played the hand, and does it kind of make sense? So this would be 6 max cutoff versus big blind, solved with AI, and I'm gonna have to input some of the bet sizes because AI might not use the exact same ones, but just to show you guys quickly what this looks like and reality check for me regarding what the ranges are and what the strategies are. So first of all, as I was saying, this is a spot where Linus doesn't really check back ace-5, but he can check back 5s or 4-5 suited, and certainly over pairs, and he doesn't go crazy betting because of this trip advantage. So we go check, turn jack of diamonds, and here Ignacio went with 3x spot. The program is choosing 40% pot as a single size, but I'm not even sure it knows how to pick huge sizes, so we'll just add a nice 300%-ish bet in. And we can see this definitely gets used with trips. 8-5, 9-5, Jack-5, Queen-5, King-5, and a bit of Ace-5, specifically with the Ace of Hearts even, preferring it, whereas the ones without the Ace of Hearts do more checking. We're not going to get into why those kind of nuances are important to understand, but they're a bit too deep for a YouTube video. But yeah, feel free to discuss them in the comments if you want. And yet we face the 3x pot bet, and here Linus's range, as we said, is in trouble already. The bet is, given it's just draws and trips, Linus can go ahead and even fold something like ace-jack, king-jack, queen-jack. He has to call queens, kings, and aces, but if you look at the EV of the call, it's fairly close to 0. And similarly, he kind of has to call these 8s, 9s, and 10s that he has, just because they're drawing to some outs and they still beat bluffs. But yeah, he's just doing very, very badly. And in terms of 6-7, sure, he can call if he checked back. Ace-deuce can call with a flush draw if he checked back. And yeah, kind of tough spot to be in for Linus's range versus the 3x pot bet. We get the call, we get the 3 of clubs, which, like I said, doesn't change a lot. And here you guys can see the solver isn't even picking Ignacio's size, which is what I suspected. I think even if we add in a third bet, right, like a 73% bet, so more like the sizing choice Ignacio went with, it doesn't get used because it doesn't make sense. It's too small for your trips, and trips are really what you're looking to bet here. So this is a bit of a, we'll call it a conceptual error by Ignacio, where if you look at the EV of ace-5, it's poker, so any size is okay, and there's not some huge difference, but you win more money betting bigger. And also, it's just like when you're playing this spot, it's the natural bet size that you reach. So I'm not sure what made him bet smaller. Was it some kind of leveling thing where he thought maybe Linus would fold over pairs to a big size and call to a smaller? I don't think Linus is the guy who you really level like that. But yeah, just to show, like, say he shoved, which, you know, is probably one of the main plays with his hand, Linus should make very low frequency calls with over pairs and jack X and call his trips and his sixes and whatever. Like, he calls some, he folds some, and Linus is perfectly capable of making these calls. But yeah, he goes bet 75. Linus, of course, shoves his jacks. He should bluff shove some jack X and even bluff shove some 7-5, it looks like. Is Linus going to find these? Yes, he's Linus. Guys, come on. Of course he's going to find this. Linus finds all the bluffs. But yeah, he shoves. And I was saying Ignacio has to call ace-5. But you can see in terms of EV, he has to call ace-5. It's a bit tricky because of the computer ranges. Linus would never check back ace-5 and all sorts of things going on. But really, ace-5 is where you have to call, and you can start folding hands like queen-5. Even 6-5 has to call because it blocks 6-7. But yeah, he can fold some of his weaker trips. Not ace-5, not 6-5 suited. Yes, 6-5 offsuit. If the 6 is the hearts or diamonds can fold because Linus c-bets those more. Hope that makes sense. And sorry about the camera. But yeah, well played hand by both. I don't think the sizing choice is terribly important as much as it's interesting because I'm sure, like, the theory of how big to size, it's clear this is not the size for trip, so I don't know what the thought process leading up to that was. But yeah, well played hand by Linus. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys next time.